Good evening, and welcome all of you to the City of Keystone Heights monthly meeting, our September meeting. It's really great to see you guys all here tonight, especially on a really ugly night with this weather. So I hope everyone's safe out there. I would ask that you all please silent your phones during the meeting if you don't mind. And I'm going to turn it over to Councilman Brown for the invocation.
Let's all rise. Dear gracious God in heaven, we come to you tonight and we thank you for your many blessings. Today, Lord, is September the 11th, and we pray, God, for the families, friends, and co-workers that are still coping with the loss of their loved ones and their friends, their comrades. We pray for this day and for peace in our country and unity, Lord. And Lord, we've lost our board member, lost his daughter, and we pray for them, Lord. She was a remarkable young lady. We pray for our code enforcement officer, Lord, here in the city for the loss of his father. Pray for that family, Lord, that you'll give them peace and guidance. And as we meet tonight, Lord, we pray for wisdom and guidance in all that we do and say. And we thank you, Lord, for this country and for our men and women in military, our men and women that wear the badge of law enforcement, Lord. We pray for their protection and they get to come home every night and every morning after their shift. We pray for the firemen, Lord. We think about all the firemen, Lord, that go into burning buildings and not knowing if they're coming back out or not. Pray for their families and for them and for their protection. Again, we just thank you for the rain that we're getting right now, and we just thank you for this town and for the citizens that live inside the city limits and the ones that live in our community, Lord. We thank you for them all and pray for guidance and protection amongst them and their families. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Ratowski, can you give us a roll call?
Mayor Rodenroth,
Here.
Vice Mayor Thompson,
Here.
Councilman Tony Brown,
Here.
Councilman Hart.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do you have any public comments?
I have several, Madam Mayor. Before we begin, I just want to inform council that we did have an incident that occurred at the beach with vandalism. We heard from one of those individuals at our 5:30 meeting. I have two others here tonight, so I would first like to call Mr. Riley up to the podium.
Hi, my name's Riley, and I'm a part of the graffiti that happened down at Keystone Beach, and I was here to apologize. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to apologize. I'm sorry for drawing on the benches and doing graffiti down at Keystone Beach.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Riley. Appreciate you coming here and doing that publicly for us. Hopefully you will be able to inspire others to not do those things as well. Thanks.
And next we have Mr. Silas.
Hello, my name is Silas. I was involved in the graffiti down at Keystone Beach. Came here to apologize. Thank you for this opportunity to let me apologize. I'm sorry for drawing on the tables, doing all that. It was a very stupid idea because I know y'all pay money on that. Y'all harder earned money. Came over there, messed it up. Very mean thing to do. I'm sorry for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we do have several public comment cards tonight, and so first I would like to call Miss Vivian Katz-James. And council, at your spot at the dais, you do have a packet. This was provided from Miss Vivian.
Hello, Miss Vivian.
Hi, Vivian Cash James, Save Our Lakes Organization. I'm not supposed to be here tonight, so I'll try to be brief. I sent you a packet. We've been working on, I think several months ago, I came before you about several things that were in the works that Save Our Lakes was trying to move forward on. The fishing pier being one of them, the Geneva project another. The Geneva project, I'll talk to you later about that. That's bigger and has a lot more going on. The fishing pier, however, I went out to 3 different folks for quotes. I got one back. That's what's before you tonight. I think it's going to be an extremely good opportunity to add to the beach, to make it accessible, ADA accessible for everyone, a great fishing pier. And it will add to the pavilion and the swimming area and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to go into the numbers. We're not voting on this tonight. I just want you to have it, absorb it. I am available to talk. Scott Slater, who is back there, the guy with the big voice behind me, is available to talk. And if you want us to come before you, maybe in the October meeting and actually be on the agenda to talk about it, we'll be happy to do that. I have already had this for about 2 weeks. First thing I did was contact Comores, because that was the original effort to bring Comores and some other businesses into the community and kind of tap their assets. I've talked with Jim Renner. I'm not sure what his title is, but he's something over the southeast. He got back to me immediately. We're kind of talking back and forth now. He wants to pretty much know how much money do we want, and I haven't answered yet, but it's going to be all we can get. And so I don't know what that means yet. I will say, as far as the city is concerned, I'll put this out to all of you now. I think most of you know that there's an item in the budget. I don't know what to call an item or not, but anyway, it's lake money that I asked you many years ago to set aside $10,000 a year, capping at 50. What I'm going to ask the city for is $25,000 of the lake money, not any other part of your budget, but the lake money for this project. Okay. There's another item, if you will look at your sheet, that's highlighted in blue. Okay. That would basically be to add a portable jet ski dock for when you're having the races and all of those events. They can be put on and they can be taken away. Okay. That I'm going to just be up front with you too and say, I'm going to ask you, city, to put that in another spot in your budget, because it's more tourism and so on and so forth. So look at that as an item to take out of some other place. But everything else that you see is what we're going to be going for funding. I am talking to Comores. I am talking to you. I am talking to Solo. I am going to be using the Keystone Heights grant that we got from the firemen when they disband. I'm going to be using that money. So we have funding coming along, and I feel very comfortable that this will be easily funded. So, but you guys have to be the initial start, because it's your pier. Okay? Any questions before I walk away? Anything at all? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, just for your information, there is a timer up on the television screens.
Okay.
For you to be aware of.
Okay.
And for,
Turned off the audible alarm, but you may need your help.
Okay, keep an eye on it. All right.
it's a little bit scary.
That's okay.
Just for housekeeping purposes, we have that on the agenda for the next meeting, please.
Yes, and this would also be a fantastic conversation as part of our parks plan and things of that nature.
Thank you.
Next is Mr. David Nichols.
Mr. Nichols?
Really didn't want to go first. I just wanted to echo what everybody else was going to say.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, city manager, audience. I'm David Nichols, 4380 Southeast County Road 21B, Keystone Heights, Florida. So I'm here to talk about the proposed change in the leadership or management of the airport, and I'm against it, bottom line. I don't see that anything for the last 10 years warrants this change. I see that it is, the leadership has just gone above and beyond with the improvements of the airport, the balance sheet, the financials, making money, and I don't really see why, why the city would want to change the course it's going on. And, really, I know Mr. Brown, Ms. Thompson, you guys seem to be the ones that really are pushing this. You seem to be on the fence. You seem to be not wanting change, and fine. But you really haven't given us, the public, a good explanation as to why you want to change the direction of the airport and the leadership. And I think the audience deserves that, and the public deserves that. And it doesn't make business sense that you want to take on the liability that the citizens of Keystone Heights, and I'm not in the city limits, why you want to put that liability on the citizens of Keystone Heights. So that's just something to think about. And that liability's there. Things can happen at an airport. I mean, some nasty things can happen at an airport. And then lawsuits could happen. Okay, so if you do take it over, what are you going to improve the direction? So think about that. How are you going to make it better than the way it's going now? It's on a great path. It's on a great path. So please think about that. Business is thriving out there. Mr. Brown, you made a comment that change is good, and I agree. Change is good. Only if it's needed. If something is wrong, change is good, is my viewpoint. And I'm coming up to the end of my time, and I thank you for my time, and it looks like it's going to be a long night for you.
That's okay. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. David Kirkland.
May I precede you for just a moment? That's up to the mayor.
Madam Mayor, I have several public comment cards.
Can we get through the ones who have filled out a form first?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
And anybody else who would like to speak, I will need a public comment card because it is public record on your name and address. They are up there.
Okay. He's got a technical challenge going
Okay.
on, so let's hold one sec.
Nope, we're gonna go ahead and keep time, so go right
You are?
ahead.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Kirkland.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. For the record, my name is David Kirkland. I reside at 7266 Southeast 2nd Place, Stark, Florida, 32091. Starting with the April 3rd, 2023 and subsequent city council meetings and workshops, Mayor Rodenroth, Councilman Tony Brown, Councilwoman Thompson had agenda items dealing with the Keystone Heights Airport and more specifically replacing the airport authority with a committee similar to the Heritage Committee or creating an airport department similar to Public Works. During these meetings and workshops, Councilman Steve Hart has been the only council member to specifically describe the potentially detrimental consequences and liability of this action, what it would impose on the City Council and the citizens of Keystone Heights. Councilman Bobby Brown stated the airport is one of two jewels of the city, and it should be left alone. On multiple occasions in the city council meetings and workshops, I've asked one important question that this city council has not answered to date. So I'll ask it again. What are the specific legitimate reasons for eliminating the Keystone Heights Airport Authority? 4 months since I have passed since I originally asked this question. I think we all know the answer. You don't have any specific legitimate reasons because, as I've stated before, you have never had the FAA, FDOT, federal and state environmental entities or any other agencies come before this council and say to you there is a problem at the Keystone Heights Airport. Our financial audits prove we are fiscally sound. Our FDOT annual inspections continue to show that the airport authority and staff are doing an excellent job of maintaining the day-to-day operations of the airport. So given this exemplary record, why do you want to eliminate the airport authority? What are the benefits to the citizens of Keystone Heights? The instability, uncertainty you've created since March of this year has caused one of our largest tenants to not move forward with a fully funded $25 million project to construct a campus of administration buildings and hangars. The loss of MHD Rockland would be detrimental to the airport and our local community. In 2022 and 2023 to date, their approximate fuel sales and leases totaled $1,120,457. If MHD Rockland decides to move, how will the city subsidize such a loss? How much will you have to increase taxes on the citizens of Keystone Heights? I'm sure Commissioner Betsy Condon doesn't want to explain to her fellow commissioners. Pardon me? Can I have a few extra minutes?
I'm sorry. Who do we have next?
Next, I have Miss Christine Arnold.
Well, that was fortuitous. Christine Arnold. I live in Keystone Heights, cross street 505 Southeast Palmetto Avenue, and I'm the chair of the Heritage Commission. And I'm here to find out why you're dissolving the Heritage Commission. I find we're on the agenda this evening for merging with a citizen group, which I don't know how you guys can do that because one is a city entity and the other one. And so it was supposed to, I actually went back through and went through your document dump this evening. For anyone who doesn't know, there's a document dump. It's underneath the agenda on the city calendar, and this evening there were 96 pages, so I went through and sped read them all. Last meeting, it turns out, which was not televised, and I requested the document, the minutes, which I didn't receive. So the last meeting, let's see. I hate to eat up my time. Hold on a second. It was right here. Mr. Commando suggested consolidating the Heritage Commission and Friends of Keystone Heights into a nonprofit organization that would not be tied to the constraints of a government organization and could partner with them for funding. Well, my two co-chairs on the Heritage Commission are also co-chairs on the Friends of Keystone Heights. Now, they're both in Italy right now, but I correspond with them, and they have no idea about any of this. So all of a sudden, and also, you know, I haven't been able to get any services from the City Hall, so we've been cut off, and no one has spoken to me about it. Now, our agenda runs yearly. Now, you guys are familiar, two of you. We have a very aggressive agenda. Our events are planned a year in advance. I have money to spend before October 1st. and I can't get anyone's help with this. Are we going to be part? And the reason why we have a Heritage Commission and we're not a citizen group, because I founded the citizen group. The initial database contacted all the owners, and it was put under the city with certain responsibilities to make sure that what happened to the Keystone Inn didn't happen again. Because in 2000, people who were sitting on this dais voted to demolish the building because it was deemed there weren't the funds, it was too far gone. But anyone knows where there's a will, there's a way, and that's what we're there for. And we need the city authority. Plus you have the plaquing. Who's going to do the plaquing? Oh, okay, excuse me.
Christine, it's on the agenda tonight, so can talk more at the end
Well, the thing is, this is the only forum I can talk
No,
in.
no, I appreciate you doing that.
Okay.
But we'll talk about it as the meeting goes on tonight. Thank you, though.
Next, I have Ms. Sue Plaster.
I'm sorry. Hello. Yeah. Thank you so much for having us. Everybody's up here with a lot of facts and going, I'm here with my heart. I just love the Keystone Airport. I can't tell you what it means to me to have it out there. I think she's the gem of Central North Florida. And I just can't say enough about it and all the improvements that have come along the way, and I just want what's best for it. But it just is doing so well, I just can't imagine, you know, a change. And one of them, I know a lot of airports. My father bought our first plane when I was 5 years old, and that was a couple of years ago, since I'm closing in on 93. So we lived in the United States and South America, all over, so I know airports all over. And my father was killed in World War II flying a C-47. The plane was sabotaged and it went down. So at 14, I didn't have a father, but mother remarried, got in soon to become the Air Force instead of the Army Air Corps. And he was air attaché in Chile and air attaché in Argentina. And I've been around airports, not around other places much. But this, I just give so much credit to whoever the council was when they said they would take over that airport when nobody wanted it after World War II. Bless their hearts, we got it. And I think they're all sorry now. I know they are. But at any rate, it's just great for us to have that. And we have it here and we own it in Keystone, yet it's in Bradford. And that, you know, that's a rural county over there. And we get a lot of benefits money-wise because it sits in Bradford County. A lot of money to be saved that way. You take over and you're going to have all the paperwork coming to Keystone. You're going to get charged Clay County rates. Anyway, that's just one. But I love it. I'm out there most every Thursday. Get Joni's hot dogs. I don't have to stand in line. And I get to talk to all the guys. And they all know I like to go up. And if they'll say, come on, you want to ride? I'm up. I'll go fly with anybody anytime. I hope y'all can keep it that way because I do love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Todd Falconer.
Hi, Todd.
Hello again. I'm Todd Falconer. I'm the Vice President of Flight Operations for MHD Rockland. And good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. So I couldn't help but notice Councilwoman Thompson's comments in the paper about the new vision that you've had since you went to the Palatka Airport about ideas for the Keystone Heights Airport and the big businesses that are coming into the Palatka Airport. So I have a question. Why are you looking at an airport that was this airport 10 years ago? Because the city runs it? And maybe you should be looking at traffic numbers, fuel capability, fuel sales, and tenant occupancy and mix rates. And since some key points seem to have been missed, I'd like to remind you of what Keystone Heights Airport already has, and not what the Palatka Airport thinks is coming. MHD Rockland is currently the largest single tenant at the airport. MHD and our co-company ESG Aerosystems are currently carrying out a $65 million United States Navy contract today at that airport. And while I will not speak for ESG, I will speak for MHD Rockland. So here's some facts. We currently pay around $175,000 a year in lease payments, and as Mr. Kirkland alluded to, our fuel sales are somewhere around $1 million every year, plus or minus depending on flight hours. We currently employ 26 people. We have everything from FAA licensed mechanics to shipping and receiving clerks. We have 20 of those people living locally. We have several more in Middleburg, and we have 2 in Ocala. Our current average salary is $87,000 a year with full benefits. Most of us have purchased homes in the area, and we spend our money in the local economy. We all love this community, and we love being part of it, and we love helping wherever and however we can. MHD Rockland has several business accounts inside Keystone Heights, and as a principal, we buy everything we can from Keystone Heights. MHD Rockland has spent millions of dollars upgrading its current facilities over the last 7 years at Keystone Heights Airport. We have been trying to spend another $25 million in new facilities since 2019. We had 3 years of waiting on the FAA to approve those buildings, which were approved, and now I guess we're waiting some more. Because as a business, we cannot afford to stop and wait until January of 2025 to see if the city is actually going to be capable of running an airport. And to that point, I can tell you that we are currently working to move our warehouse, which was supposed to be on airport property, off of airport grounds and out of the city. That will take 10 jobs away immediately, and it will also cost 15 to 20 more jobs in the next 2 to 3 years. And because of this track, we are also now currently looking at where else we can take our $25 million Space Florida funding to build a new facility, which we need, which means you lose all those jobs too. There's been no real explanation as to why the council is moving in this direction, other than, as you said in your May 1st meeting, Councilman Brown, there's something different. Why is that? Has success been bad for the city of Keystone? Would you rather turn into Palatka and have less business? Rather than being upset with the very airport board that is here to advise you, maybe listen, because they're good people.
Thank you.
Todd Wilma.
Say again, please.
Todd Wilma.
Yeah, that's me. Good evening. My name is Todd Wilma, 6844 Immokalee Road. So, esteemed mayor, members of the city council, appreciate the opportunity to address you tonight regarding the proposal to establish a new airport department within city government. While the intent behind expanding the governmental reach may be a commendable endeavor, I would like to express my strong opposition to that initiative. And I believe that creating an airport department would be both costly and imprudent, as we've just heard from Rockland. I would also like to outline my reasons for my stance. Firstly, Keystone Heights faces a range of more pressing issues that demand our immediate attention and allocation of resources. That could be from enhancing public safety, adding to our healthcare and EMS facilities, or taking care of the abandoned animals that are dumped here routinely. Introducing a new airport department would divert the vital resources away from essential projects, jeopardizing the overall well-being of the city and its residents. Airports necessitate significant capital investments for maintenance, repairs, and upgrades. The city might find itself responsible for these unforeseen costs, ultimately burdening the taxpayer of Keystone Heights. Furthermore, the potential for unforeseen legal challenges could expose the city to further undetermined financial risks. Secondly, airport management is highly specialized and complex tasks that requires expertise in areas such as the FAA regulation compliance, security protocols, and FAA contracts, etc. Developing and maintaining the expertise within the city government would demand substantial investments in training and personnel. Additionally, it's crucial to note that the airport is located in Clay County, well outside of Keystone Heights city limits. The city would receive no tax revenue from the airport, and all of the generated income from the airport must be reinvested back into the airport as part of the FAA grants. As such, every taxpayer, including those residing out Keystone Heights, has a stake in the Keystone Heights Airport, and they should also have a say in this management. It's kind of a regional asset, not only the city. In conclusion, while the notion of establishing an airport department may appear appealing, it is my firm belief that it does not serve the best interests of Keystone Heights, the airport, or the broader region. So I unequivocally oppose the creation of an airport department or any changes to the management. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, councilor, city manager. Thank you very much. I'm Bob Britton from the College Missionary Aviation, 6583 Kings Road, which happens to be a well-hit 7-iron from the city limits, but I'm getting closer every day. I come to you to say we've had the College of Missionary Aviation has been established in Keystone Heights for 8 years. In that 8 years, 9 students have been followed through with the founder's brilliant vision to get these people trained up as missionary pilots with no college loan debt, the number one barrier to becoming a missionary. The Keystone Heights Airport Authority has been instrumental in allowing us to do that, and of those 9 students that have completed the program, 7 are now serving in the field as missionary pilots and mechanics. They range from Fort Pierce to Maine, Wisconsin, Michigan, and 4 of them are in Alaska. Now let me put on my other hat. In 2008, I retired from the Air Force. Prior to that, I served as the base commander at March Air Force Base, which overnight became March Air Reserve Base. And it went from being a joint field where the Joint Powers Authority, that was the city of Moreno Valley, Hemet, and Paris, made up the Joint Powers Authority, and they were going to help with the joint use of an airport. Joint use of an airport that had been the day before a fully operational Air Force base with a 13,200-foot-long runway, instrument approaches to both ends of the runways, parking for 27 B-52s and 48 KC-135s. And the cities couldn't cooperate. The city people, even on one city, couldn't cooperate to get it done. So I'm thinking that you have a well-operating Keystone Heights Airport Authority that is doing the mission, and the mission is to serve the people there at the airport. So I would like you to reconsider this idea of taking on that burden, not only the liability, not only the extreme resources that will be needed by the city manager and her staff to make this happen, because I think it's a bad idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Robert Burton III. No relation.
Good evening, honorable members of the City Council. I am Robert Britton III, a local aviator and volunteer representative of the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, the largest aviation organization in the world. I will address the proposed transition of the Keystone Heights Airport's governance structure from an airport authority to a city-run model. My presence here is not to advocate for or against this proposal, but to advocate for the continuing aviation interests of the airport. In the intricate realm of airport management, numerous critical factors merit our attention, regardless of the chosen governance model. These factors include financial and accounting practices, maintenance and operational considerations, airport protection, land use planning encompassing both aeronautical and non-aeronautical purposes, airport regulations, minimum operating standards, and the prevention of revenue diversion. These elements necessitate a deep understanding and strict adherence to state and federal grant assurance regulations. Our airport must be overseen by those well-versed in aviation and aviation safety matters, ensuring timely and accurate decisions are made. As we deliberate this proposal, please consider this decision's long-term consequences. Our collective responsibility is to ensure that the Keystone Heights Airport remains a valuable asset. Keystone Heights Airport is a remarkable asset to our community, extending its benefits to general, commercial, and military aviation. Its strategic location, competitive fuel prices, instrument approach, well-designed taxiway systems, and expansive 5,000-foot-long runways render it an ideal operational center for many aviation activities, including flight training, acrobatic aircraft, ultralight aircraft, military operations, and critical air search and rescue operations. Please approach this matter with the gravity that it deserves. engaging in constructive dialogues that result in decisions that serve the best interests of our community and steadfastly protect the future of the Keystone Heights Airport. Your choices here do not only determine who governs the airport, they can change and shape the trajectory of the local economy. Regardless of the outcome, this proposal can also enact acute and immediate consequences for the general, commercial, and military aviation operations at this airport. Thank you for your attention and consideration. I yield my remaining time.
Thank you.
Woody Andrews?
Honorable members, I appreciate your granting me this impromptu media or statement about the airport. I moved here in 1998. I became involved as a volunteer at the airport with Mr. Kirkland, Charlie, Mr. Nichols, and a lot of the staff that was on the board out there at the time. I'm going to boil down my comments to just a few words, and that is I'm opposed to this change that could affect the local area economically and a lot of the people that are volunteers with the company. So let me just say this. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ray Biancanita?
I'm certainly not going to run out of my time. Good evening, Keystone Heights City Council members. My name is Ray Piancanita. I reside at 211 Varden Road in Florahome. I'm a tenant at the Keystone Heights Airport where I've hangared my 70-year-old airplane for the last 7+ years. I've had nothing but positive experiences with the board members and the staff the entire time. Any issues I have had have been promptly resolved, and several of them even before I noticed there was an issue. I'm aware of at least 2 board members who are retired. They spend considerable amount of their time and devotion for the benefit of the airport. They are, like the rest of the board members, aviation enthusiasts steeped in the knowledge of general aviation and airport operations. Our board members run our airport like a well-oiled machine, a machine which is not broke. I hate to repeat this, but anyway, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Therefore, I respectfully request the board be allowed to continue to operate the airport as they so expertly have done for many years. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening.
Thank you.
Mike Butterfield?
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Mike Potapile. I'm a 17-year tenant at the Keystone Airport and a local business owner. I have witnessed and watched the airport change over the time that I've been a tenant at that airport, all for the positive, moving in a positive direction even in light of several circumstances out there that stood against them growing. You guys appointed board members to the Keystone Authority. You appointed them because they're good people who care about the airport, care about aviation, and care about the safety of pilots and the visitors to that airport. My business has supported every event that has been at that airport since the day I became a tenant. I fell upon the airport by accident, driving between stores, and became a pilot at that airport. I think if you appoint people and you trust people and you give people a direction, that's what needs to happen. I see a dark cloud on the horizon should the people who you trusted and who we trust to run that airport, if they are removed and turned into an advisory. I've seen boards throughout the years where they become an advisory panel and nobody wants to serve. I think it's a mistake, and I wish that you would reconsider your thoughts of moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
James Bentley?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your service to Keystone. I live at 6505 Latchstring Road in Melrose, Florida. I'm a tenant out at the wonderful airport. I've had a plane at the Palatka Airport, 2 airplanes at St. Augustine, and Years ago, when I flew charter, I flew all over the Southeast. This is the jewel of the Southeast. I've learned a lot about airports, and I'm really grateful to be here. I'm especially grateful to Mr. Kirkland and all the folks that serve on the committee, doing a wonderful job. I'd like to echo David Nichols and say, if you have something in mind that we need to know, the tenants, what your vision is, and the people at Keystone Heights are smart enough to ask, if this were to put to a vote to them in the spring or whenever, what do they want to change? So please share that with us when you get it, if there's a corrective action plan or something, but we kind of feel like we're in the dark. But once again, I'm grateful to you and to the airport, and please vote or just don't change anything. You don't have to vote on it at all. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all the public comment cards we have, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we're going to go to item 3 here, resolutions and ordinance. So I will entertain a motion to read the ordinance 2023-602 by title. Can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Call for a vote. Aye.
Ordinance 2023-602, an ordinance of the City of Keystone Heights levying the ad valorem property tax millage rate for municipal purposes on all taxable property within the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023 and ending September 30th, 2024, stating the percentage by which the millage to be levied exceeds the rolled back rate, providing an effective date.
This public hearing is to present the proposed budget of the City of Keystone Heights to the public for comment, questions, and review to make changes if desired by the City Council. The process for budget adoption is detailed precisely in Florida statutes, and we must comply with those directives. The very first order of business to discuss the proposed millage, the rolled back millage rate, and the reasons for the increase in ad valorem tax revenues. I will turn now this discussion over to our city manager to make certain we meet all the required communications.
The name of the taxing authority is the City of Keystone Heights, Florida. The City Council's proposed budget for fiscal year 2023-2024 reflects a millage rate of 4.2901. That millage can be compared to the current millage rate, which is also 4.2901, and to the rollback rate, which is 4.0003. The rollback rate is a calculation which brings the same tax dollars next year as for this year, excluding new construction, additions, deletions, annexations, and improvements. I'm required by statute to state that the percentage of the proposed millage compared to the rollback rate. That proposed rate is 6.34% increase over the rollback rate. The city's overall proposed budget is $3,387,623.03 and breaks down as follows. General fund is $1,076,244.40. The Community Redevelopment Agency, or CRA, is $444,835.39. The cemetery budget, $37,216.60. The airport budget, which is $1,401,157.39, and the CIP, or the infrastructure budget, which is $428,174.25. The budget increase proposed for this year is directly attributed to the cost increase of supplies, materials, and services, also projects such as parks and our corner project. Council voted 3-0 to set the maximum millage rate at 4.2901. The budget reflects the draft budget, which has been reviewed by City Council, which is being presented today, September 11th, 2023, at a public hearing, and will be presented for a second hearing and adoption on September 25th, 2023.
Okay, we can now open for public hearing on the proposed millage. The public can speak and ask questions. Do I have anybody who has any questions about what was just shared? No? Okay. So I'll close the public hearing and now entertain a motion for approval.
I have a question, a point of order. I believe you quoted 6.34% and the ordinance provides for 6.48%. Which number is accurate?
I apologize, that would be the 6.48% that's reflected on your budget.
All right.
Or on your,
Thank you.
6.84. Okay. Any other questions?
I'll move passage.
A second.
Here, you get a vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next on the agenda is ordinance 2023-603 budget for fiscal year 2023-2024. Is there a motion to read by title?
I'll make that motion. Second.
Can I get a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Ordinance 2023-603, an ordinance for the purpose of adopting the tentative budget for the city of Keystone Heights, Florida for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023 and ending September 30th, 2024, and providing an effective date.
I now open up ordinance 2023-603 for public hearing. The public can ask any questions or for clarification of anything discussed. Have any questions? Okay. So I'll close the public hearing and then call for a motion by council for approval. You guys good?
I'll make a motion for approval of 2023-603.
Second.
All vote?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Thank you. Okay, next is consent agenda. And basically, these are all details that were given to us in our packets for review prior to the meeting tonight to cover the financials for July 2023, payables for 2023, the minutes from the CRA meeting on August 8th, the council meeting on August 8th, the workshop that was August 21st, and the emergency council meeting on August 25th, or 8th, I'm sorry. And then, of course, we had the proclamation for community church that was done yesterday. So y'all get a motion to approve?
Move we approve.
Second.
I'll say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. All right. Next, we have an appointment for the Planning and Zoning Board application, Mr. John Zeisser. And have you all looked at the application? Any questions of Mr. Zeisser? John, you want to come up and speak? Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
What are we doing?
Name and address?
I can't hear you. Dr. John Zeisser. I live at 505 Southeast Palmetto Avenue. That way. Keystone Heights 32656. Thank you for entertaining my application for planning and zoning. Questions, comments?
I don't have any questions.
Very nice. I'm very comfortable behind a podium. I spent many years here.
And Madam Mayor and Council, my understanding is that staff were asking for the appointment to be effective January 1st, 2024.
You good with that?
Good with that.
Do we need to vote on that, Rich?
All is one thing.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, congratulations.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to vote? Okay,
I move that John Zeisser
Do we
be
accept?
appointed to the planning and zoning.
okay.
I second.
All vote? Aye?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm trying to get ahead of the game. Okay, so city business. We have the Keystone Heights Airport Authority here. Basically, an update, and I appreciate everyone's comments tonight. We are in a transition currently. We are in the process of looking at applicants to become the next newly hired airport manager. We're going to have a workshop on Thursday of this week to review those applications with the airport advisory team and go through the candidates based on the role that we're looking to seek here. This is going to be a process that's going to occur over some time. We've had a number of workshops that have occurred ever since the early part of this year, and there's been a lot of work put in by all of us to understand both sides of whether advisory or board is the right, or authority is the right way to go. So I do appreciate the input, but we have come to our, our decision, and we do have some plans on what that may look like down the road. The public will be made fully aware of what those ideas are as we move forward. I can assure you of that. Do you want to comment about that?
So, Madam Mayor, you're taking item number 7C. So normally 6A is where Mr. Kirkland would give his report.
No.
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 Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
Oh,
under
I'm
city
sorry, I have
business.
them backwards.
I'm under city business,
Yes.
yes.
May I speak to this, please?
Sure.
When we had our workshop, we had a lengthy discussion, the city attorney and I, and we all participated in what the correct procedure would be to approach this issue. And I submitted a document which is reflected in the minutes called Florida Law Excerpts Home Rule Charter Amendments. The bottom line is, if you're going to change the charter of a city, you have to look to Florida law as to the process to do it. The general rule is the city has the authority to change its own charter ordinance. However, there are certain areas where there is a public referendum required. And I believe that this is one of those areas. If you look at, this is part of the record already, but under Florida Statute 66.021, sub 4, a close reading of that indicates that one of the matters that does require a referendum is any change in the form of government, and I agree with the city attorney, this technically is not a change in the form of government, or matters prescribed by the charter relating to appointed boards. This is an appointed board. My reading of the statute, and I believe the city attorney agreed with me, is that rather than us as a council passing an ordinance, we have to take this to a referendum of the citizens of the city. That's my interpretation, and I would strongly urge that we take that approach so we don't violate Florida law.
We discussed that at the last gathering, and that was a decision to do that, correct?
Madam Mayor, so there was conversations at the last council meeting when this was discussed and a motion was made to move forward with an ordinance. So there was concerns from council that there was a lot of different management styles that were within that one ordinance. And so at the workshop, when we discussed several items, it was discussed with the city attorney on what is the right way to accomplish what the council was trying to do. And that was taking it to the ballot and not doing an ordinance that would only accomplish half of what council was trying to accomplish, but then actually putting it to the vote, or putting it to the voters. And that's exactly what Councilman Hart was saying.
Yeah.
So the motion, or the item is on the agenda tonight because the last motion that was made was to move forward with an ordinance. A decision cannot be made at a workshop to move forward, but you can give staff direction here at this council meeting on how you would like to see this be moved forward, how you would like to see this process.
Would my motion, if I make it orally, would that be in order?
Sure.
I move that in order to comply with Florida Statute Section 66.021, paren 4, that the question of the management of the airport be put to a referendum as soon as reasonably practical, probably at the spring 2024 election. That's my motion. I think it's mandated by Florida law.
Y'all have any comments?
You're wanting us to go ahead and put it forward and go to the next step?
It's a referendum. Yeah, I'm not saying shoot it down. I'm just saying let the taxpayers, the voters have, because they installed the charter.
Right.
And they should have the right to decide how it should be changed. And that's what basically Florida law says in this particular circumstance. That's my reading of it.
And
So I'm not saying you have a bad idea. I'm just saying put it to the voters, let them make the call.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. Is that a second?
The other thing is, were we going to discuss going forth on that? I mean, was there going to be something written up for us to look at?
Yes, this is just a motion to direct staff.
Statute requires an ordinance be drafted, basically calling for that. I don't know if you preface it with a resolution first or not. I don't know. It's procedural.
It's not an ordinance, but it's a resolution.
Okay. I think it requires an ordinance, but we can talk about that.
Good. So what we're doing is we're putting forth a motion to move forward, asking staff to move forward with the creation of that ordinance, that it would go out for referendum in April of next year for the citizens to vote on.
That's in substance my motion, yes.
Correct. Can I get a second?
A second.
All vote?
No.
Aye.
No. And I'll give my reason after you vote. I
Aye.
say no.
You say no?
I say no.
Okay. So the three of us say aye. Is that correct? Okay. So we have a 3-1 vote.
And I'd like to explain.
Okay.
I can't wait till the time that I sit up here and I don't have to say I've been here so long. But I have seen what that airport was when I was a teenager. We did Boy Scout camps out there as a kid. And yes, the airport has changed a lot. I remember all you had to do is sit on a bench when you were waiting on somebody to fly in or something. And the old hangars from the World War II. I have been honestly beating myself to death about this. And I know I was one of the, and still am, one of the ones that was for change. And that got brought up tonight. Change is good, but sometimes change isn't good. Listening to all these people tonight and knowing their passion, the one thing that still scares me about doing this is there's not a dang one of us up here that knows anything about airplanes. And and as you said, Councilman, lawsuits, and we're governing something that we don't honestly have a clue what we're doing. There's too much of that going on in Washington, D.C. And I was going to bring in these flip-flops of John Kerry that I carried around with me for a while, and during his election for president. And they'll probably make some of my picture on a flip-flop one day because I keep flip-flopping. But it takes us time as a council, and I've been approached with this in the years I've been up here. You look at something, and then it doesn't come back for a while. And we've been beating this around for several months. And there's, in my gut, I think the biggest thing that feared me was a new board that we had put in place out there. And the of them, maybe button heads or whatever. But the past couple meetings I've been at, they might butt heads, but they get it resolved. And I really think it needs to stay the way it is. And it's our duty as a council. If somebody's not doing their job, we take them off and replace them. And so that's why I'm not voting for that tonight. I'm sorry.
Mr. Brown, may I ask a question of the city attorney? What we essentially have done is say if we're going to make a change, it has to be done by way of a referendum. We still will have another day to decide whether or not we're going to go forward with that, whether it's in the form of a resolution or ordinance. And if we end up with, say, 2-2, then we don't do anything. Would that be a correct analysis of the procedure?
That's a correct statement, but given what now everyone knows, I mean, do you want to move to reconsider your motion and it dies here tonight?
Yeah. If council is willing to reopen this, I would amend my motion to not go forward with this either in the form of a regular ordinance or a referendum, but continue with the paradigm at the airport as is, knowing full well that we do have ultimate control because we do control who's on the board. So I would amend my motion, and hopefully someone will second it, to not go forward.
Doesn't the person that seconded it have to be a part of that?
So essentially, what I believe Councilman Hart's doing is a motion to reconsider. Anyone on the prevailing party of a vote at that meeting or the subsequent meeting can move to reconsider an issue. Because there was already a vote, it's really not amending the motion, but you're essentially asking for a motion to reconsider the issue. And then I think Councilman Hart's looking for a second on that motion to reconsider.
My motion is a motion to reconsider under Robert's rules.
Second.
Get a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
No.
Motion fails.
Motion fails. We'll go forward with the resolution.
Okay. Moving forward, this project of mine with alcohol on the beach, can I have that removed from our list for now? Make a motion to do that until I can do further research on it?
You don't have to make a motion. You can just ask for it to be withdrawn from the agenda.
Yeah, for now, I think. It's something to be, that I will come back to at some other time. In your packets, I included a snapshot, which we talked about at our workshop. I guess it was in June or July. I'm going to be conducting business owner survey to collect some data from them, subject matter, and the subject matter was in the packet. So what I'm asking you, council, is any input you have on subject matter that you would like for me to include with my questions with the business owners. And the idea behind this is to get a pulse, and like I said in the beginning, is we have to know our citizens, we have to know our business owners, so we can try to work our decisions and all toward their needs. And I feel like it's an opportunity to not only get to know them better, but also get input from them on things that they would like to see us either bring into the city or to assist them as they do their business. And that data, what I will do is be a non-biased collection there, and I'll come back and share their input with all of you once I collect it. So I'll be making appointments with each one of them one-on-one, and they'll have a form that I have them look at, and they can check the box, and then they can give me input on other things. And then I'll come back and share that with all of you. And I think it just kind of gives us a real-world view from their perspective on maybe things that, you know, we need to think about. And this helps us, I think, when we look at decision-making on things in the city that helps to support that. Did you guys look at the form or the subject matter in your handouts?
One of the things I suggest to you is go back and look at the time we did a community. A lot of the businesses came down with our engineers and did a tally kind of thing with when we started to do the downtown scape.
Right. So they just kind of came and did like a little workshop and just
We did a workshop, and they presented stuff, and they had these little things that you could vote on, and it tallied everything up. So we should have that data somewhere.
Yeah.
About that. That would help you out. But that was done when we started this project. So.
Well, what I did my own research to look at the rural towns of America and what are some of the challenges those businesses experience today. As we all know, everything has changed so much post-COVID, and I feel like I keep hating to say the word COVID, but it's a reality. And to me, it gives me a one-on-one opportunity with them to share their feelings about things, what they would like to see us do. Whether or not we can, it's pie in the sky, I have no idea, but it's certainly something I feel would be valuable input. And I think coming back and sharing it as we make decisions moving forward about our city with the budget and things that we plan to do even in the next 10 or 20 years, this type of input is valuable. So I would just, like I say, present it to see if you guys had anything else you wanted to add to it. Let me know. And but I hope to start this sometime in early November with the business folks.
Do Do you want to have the next meeting as a deadline for council to provide any comments to you?
We can, because I know I can't have my list probably to November, but if y'all can put together anything you think would be a good input, let me know. Because I want this to be a, you know, a group thing that we all own. All right? Thanks. Next is, I think it's with the DRMP. Lynn?
Madam Mayor, this needs to be tabled until next meeting as DRMP is still working on their scope.
Okay. All right, and then next is the architect RFP.
Yes, Madam Mayor, it was discussed in the workshop to go out for an RFP, or request, or I'm sorry, an RFQ, a request for qualifications for an architect. This is the proposed RFQ. The deadlines, the dates are pretty aggressive, so this has been out there, and then council will be able to award or choose to award an architect if they would like, and hopefully at the next meeting. And so there is no motion at this time. You'll make your motion if you choose to award at the next meeting.
Okay. Next, I was recently at the Florida League of Mayors meeting in Orlando, and I'll share some information later, but I was made aware of a essay contest that they offer to our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, I believe, class. And what I want to do is reach out to the principals to see if they would be interested. The contest is If I Were a Mayor essay contest. And it teaches kids about house rule. And the way this works is they are given instruction, and I can give them examples of folks who did, apply, kids that applied last year within the state. It's a statewide contest. So every mayor in the state has an opportunity to share this with their kids. And it helps them to understand how, a city operates, things like that. But the award is, first place is, or third place is $500 gift card, second is $750 gift card, and first is $1,000. So what I'm wanting to do is just let you all know that I want, and your thoughts or input about reaching out to our principals, Principal Ms. Burke and also Ms. Turbeville, to ask them if this is something they'd like to do with their kids. Any thoughts?
I don't want to be a prune, but is this coming from the Florida League of Cities, this money?
For League of Mayors. It's out of their budget.
It's out of their budget? Okay, all right, I'm good.
So the prizes are out of their budget?
Yes.
That's a great thing.
Yep. They actually increased it while I was there, so I thought that was pretty cool. I just think it's a great opportunity for us to work with the kids today and let them kind of see how all this works. I know I get a lot of questions about it, so I think it's a great opportunity for us. So y'all are good with me moving forward with the principals to get them involved in it to see? Okay.
It might help somebody learn how to write better, and
Yeah, well,
they can apply for the Clay Electric.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of neat. All right, thank you. Okay, so now Heritage Commission and the nonprofit discussion. Currently, Heritage Commission falls under like an arm of the city, and I was chair, so I know kind of how it does work. We are, there's good things and bad things about any kind of a structure, I think. But with the way it was set up when I joined, and with which Christine is now overseeing, is it falls under just like the whole sunshine thing, especially. For example, none of us can talk to each other one-on-one ever, like about things that we're voting on or talking about. It has to be in front of all of you in a public setting. It's very challenging to do, trust me. It really, a lot of times it's, you get out of practicing sunshine laws because it is convenient. You go, well, I just want to call her up and ask her about this and see what she thinks. Well, believe it or not, we're legally bound because we're under a government umbrella. So there's a lot of rules that apply. And anytime you're in that type of a structure, it is a very strong structure, and there's a lot of consequences that can be paid if you don't follow it. We take ethics trainings every year to make sure that we ensure that we do this. So with regard to the commission, they're currently under that structure, and I mean, they've done really, truly amazing things over the last several years to impact the quality of our citizens and our community. for which I'm extremely proud of, and I think we have an amazing leadership team that currently operates and runs the Heritage Commission. With regard to that, it does require, like when you work through the city, and because they've gotten bigger, it does put some more demands on the staff for the city, things that they may or may not be able to do. And that's not the only reason to consider looking at the potential of it. I don't know, Steve, you know a lot more about, because I know that's how Friends of Keystone is set up. I don't know enough about the nonprofit and what the differences truly are, which they certainly deserve to understand.
Well, first of all, I've got a very strong personal interest in this because my wife LaDonna and I actually started the Heritage Commission. Rob Bradley helped in drawing the ordinance and the resolution that created it. It started out as an informal group involving Christine, her husband, Mayor Beam's widow, a few other people. And the whole concept, as Christine mentioned, was to try to avoid having another demolition of a hotel or a historic structure. It was our feeling after meeting once or twice that we probably had to do this within the city's envelope because the city had an ordinance that talked nice about historic preservation, but nothing ever got done. And I understand that because there's a lot to do. So essentially, after I had spent 7 or 8 years on a council heritage commission in the suburb of Chicago, I got their permission to bring their ordinance, their whole package down here, and with some tweaking from Rob and myself, we made it Keystone specific. It has operated as an agency of the city, and you are correct. Sunshine law does apply, and it can be inconvenient, but there are good reasons to have it, too, because if you're dealing with public money and public matters, you really need to have it in sunshine so the people that come to meetings like this can know what we're doing. I see some practical problems. You are correct, and the city attorney, you are correct. If this was an independent corporation, sunshine would not apply. I created one, the Friends of Keystone. It's still operating, and it was done for one of the reasons was so that we could operate outside of the sunshine. My experience on the council and this being part of the community is if we were to set up an independent corporation, we're probably going to have trouble getting volunteers. It would be pretty much the same people recycled that would try to make this operate. My fear is the Heritage Commission and all the work that you have accomplished, that I have accomplished, that my wife has accomplished, and other people like Christine have accomplished, would go by the wayside. The Heritage Commission, would, as a committee or a separate corporation, would in essence die, and we'd be back to where we were in 2008, where it kind of fall back on the city to try to keep it going. But it would. So I would be opposed to changing the structure. I know it's inconvenient. I know it imposes extra work on staff, but we voted earlier, in essence, to impose, or at least consider imposing extra work on staff for the airport, which would be 10 times as much as this. So I don't think that argument is real strong. To set up a corporation, you have to have articles of incorporation, you have to have bylaws, and they have to be pretty specific as far as tax exempt items. You have to get permission from the state in order to solicit funds. And you have to create a board and so on. Then you have an annual filing fee. Now I did the Friends of Keystone pro bono. I think it would be difficult, and Rob, Rich, I don't know what your firm would charge, and I'm not asking you to tell me, but I'm guessing it's a lot more than what I charge to set up the corporation. And I think you're going to have some startup costs. I think you're going to have some practical problems in keeping it going, and I'm just afraid that the 15 years or so of good that the Heritage Commission has been done would be lost. I'm very concerned about that. The bottom line is that the group has done so much, and I would hate to see it lose because we changed the form. And if it requires a staffing adjustment or something like that, perhaps we could sit down with the city manager and work something out if there really is an issue here. I don't know if there is or not. But I would be opposed to making a change.
Thanks. Chris, you have any comments? No? Tony?
When we had the workshop, and I thought we were talking about it would be better for them to merge and be able to fundraise where they can't really do any fundraising since they're a government entity or whatever, the way it is right now. Is that?
I can address that, I
Okay.
think, and hopefully the city attorney will concur. Under home rule, we have very broad powers. Whatever the power the state has, we have the same powers unless it's been either said as illegal or the state has taken over a particular area. I find nothing in the law that says that the Heritage Commission, as a commission of the city, can't solicit funds. Perhaps, Rich, you can clarify that. But under home rule, it looks like we have very broad powers to do that unless there's a state law that says we can't. And I can't find any reference to any laws that say. In fact, it all seems to be that we can. One thing to consider too is if you have donations to the city for a commission of the city, that is automatically tax deductible under the Internal Revenue Code. You don't have to get anybody's permission to solicit. You don't have to file for a 501c3, which in and of itself is expensive. We already have, as a municipality, the right to receive gifts, donations, and the people that make the donations can take the tax deduction. So, Rich, if you're aware of any law that says the city can't, or the Heritage Commission can't, by way of the city, ask for donations, I'd love to hear it, because I didn't find anything in the law.
So it's not a statute, it's just that governments tend to tax when they need to raise money. They don't ask for donations. As far as the ability to solicit, that's a registration. You don't need any
You don't need
permission.
that. Under the statute, you don't.
Well, I mean, you just register with the Department of
You
Agriculture.
don't even need to do that, I don't think, but I'm not aware of any prohibition that says we can't. Now, you're correct, we can do special assessments, we can do taxes, we can do all sorts of things to raise funds, but if I want to write out a check to the city and earmark it for the Heritage Commission, I think I have the right to do that, I can deduct it, and the city then has the right to channel that money by setting up a separate account. I don't see any prohibition in the Heritage Commission getting funds that way, not by taxing, not from the taxpayers, but by people that make donations.
I agree. So I think accepting a donation is different than soliciting a donation,
Yeah.
and I think that's the distinction.
And you don't need to solicit, you can just accept donations.
And some of the other things that you talked about was because of our purchasing policy, there's limitations on what, like paying for food for an event. There are limitations on what the Heritage Commission can do as an arm of the city.
Right.
So,
But it's not per se redlined by any statute that you're aware of that says the city can't accept donations and an agency of the city can't be the recipient of that. That's apparently legal.
yeah, like I said, I'm not aware of any government that solicits for donations. Usually that's taxing, but
Yeah.
I'm not aware of a prohibition from accepting donations, but
Yeah,
like
and
I
then
said,
under home rule, since it's not prohibited, it's allowed.
right, there were just other parts of that conversation. It doesn't matter to me either way.
I think we're on the same page.
Any other questions? Do we need to vote on this? What we're going to do? I personally would rather keep it as it is. Okay. All right, good, good. Going to remain as is. That's a great thing. All right, so committees, budget and finance?
We have nothing to report.
What'd you say?
There's nothing to
Oh,
report.
I didn't think so. Let's see, growth management?
No report.
Okay, Mr. Kirkland.
Good evening again, Madam Mayor and Council. On behalf of the Keystone Heights Airport Authority and the airport tenants, I want to express our condolences to fellow board member David Deschanel and his family. David's 29-year-old daughter, Amy, passed away Tuesday, September the 5th, and her celebration of life service was held this morning at Trinity Baptist Church. One of Amy's favorite trips was to the airport for Hot Dog Thursday. David, her dad, was so faithful in bringing her out when she could make that trip. We're going to miss her beautiful smile. We're going to miss her sweet personality. So please keep the Dagenet family in your thoughts and prayers. During the September 5th Airport Authority meeting, we did set dates and times for 2 workshops. The first to be Thursday, September 14th at 3 p.m. That workshop will be to finalize the format, interview questions, and develop a short list of candidates for the airport manager position. The second workshop is scheduled to be Tuesday, September the 26th at 10:30 a.m. for interviews. The selection committee members will consist of the Keystone Heights Airport Authority board members, Mayor Rodenroth and City Manager Lynn Ratowski, and at present we have 6 candidates. Airport staff is prepping for the FDOT Spaceports Aviation annual inspections. FDOT inspectors will be at the airport on September the 18th. Our airport engineer, Bill Prang, provided an update on the runway 1129 lighting project, stating that AECom had completed their review of the contractor's shop drawings submittal package. The light fixtures, signs, reels, pappies, and all electrical materials have been ordered by the contractor. Construction is scheduled to start in October-November timeframe. And prior to construction, Mr. Prang will hold a pre-construction meeting with the contractor and airport staff to plan for airfield construction impacts. And in turn, airport staff will notify tenants and post the required NOTAMs for the work that will be done. It will affect both runways in some of this project, so that's the reason for having the plan out there as far as the airfield impacts. And the notice to airmen, so that's what a NOTAM, the acronym for NOTAM is Notice to Airmen. The second item is the water and sewer feasibility study. It's approximately 90% complete. In August, AECom developed conceptual layouts for future potable water, sanitary sewer, as well as fire protection water systems for the airport. The conceptual layouts are undergoing AECom internal technical and quality reviews, and later in September, they will be submitting to the airport manager and city manager for review. When approved by the city manager and airport manager, the layouts will be submitted to CCUA for their review and comment. After the airport, city, and CCUA comment periods are completed, then AECom will prepare cost estimates, prepare a final written report, and complete the study task. That's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Christine? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I sure did. Excuse me. Lynn, planning and zoning? I'm sorry,
Nothing to
Christine.
report.
Nothing to report? Okay, thanks.
Well, now that I know we're going to be here, let's see. We have scheduled our reception for the end of the month. Of course, everything has been put on hold because we didn't know if we were actually going to be an entity. So we'll go ahead and try to, at this point, get our RSVPs in for our associate members. We're having an appreciation luncheon for them. And then we're going to have a workshop after our next meeting. One thing that you guys didn't take into account was the fact that the city has a broad database now. It's information on all of our historic buildings. It's a collection of documents and photographs. That belongs to the city, and somebody has to take care of that and add to it, which we do continually through our outreach programs. Every time we have a table, we talk to the community and we ask them for stories from them. They get information from us, and all of that is stored here. You don't get that if you give it to another group, or are you going to give your database away? So next month, our workshop is going to be to do an inventory. There hasn't been one done recently. And to decide, for sake of storage, I understand we have 3 different places our things are stored at. And we just have to, in order to make an educated decision about what to do with them, we have to know what's there. That'll be done after our next meeting this month. And we also we're going to be participating in Boo on the Boulevard. We'll be setting up in my driveway because it's right across the street, and my house is always thoroughly done for Halloween. At which time we'll probably be giving out something small from the Heritage Commission in addition to my usual candy. But the same thing, to be a visual presence, outreach. We're also going to be continuing your program, which was the wreaths. And so all of this has to get, this whole hoopla about money, this committee has had trouble spending its money. We're at the end of the year, and I have money to spend before the 1st. So I'm going to try to do that, but I've got to talk to City Hall about how to do that. So we might need a little workshop on that because the lines of communication are not clear. So I think that's it. Another thing that that belong to the city completely that you can't do with another committee is the plaquing. And also, because we work one-on-one with the homeowners using the database here and give them the supporting documents, when they move in and they purchase a home, we approach them, kind of historic welcome wagon, let them know what is in there. We provide that information to the realtors as a selling point. You got that. Another thing is all the volunteer work that's done for the facade grants and things like that to make sure that all of those things stay within the historic guidelines. There are a lot of things that you can't just pawn off on a civilian committee that really needs to stay under the jurisdiction of the city, and that's what makes us different. So, it's preservation and education. The other things, pie eating contests, you could probably even have somebody else do the field trip for the children, because that's important. Our motto is preservation and education. And one reason why the inn was torn down was because people forgot what our heritage was here. And it was just an old building that was in everybody's way, and everybody needs parking. So we've taken the 4th grade, and the 4th grade every year, from here on out, if we're still here, goes through our field trip. And we have several stations where we've introduced Fort 11, which has never gotten any attention, which is a wonderful thing here. And we hope that by the time those children make it through high school, everyone who graduates will have a really thorough understanding of the history of the area, hopefully an appreciation, and hopefully they won't vandalize it. The children can't value what they don't know about. Anyway, that's my report.
Thank you.
One thing I didn't mention when we discussed the Heritage Commission is I think we are the only city in the county that's a CLG, Certified Local Government. We became that through the, whatever it's called, Historical Board in Tallahassee, by the strength of the fact that the city operates the Heritage Commission. And the bottom line with that, it does give us a leg up in at least requesting grants. So that's another reason that I think the decision we made was wise.
Yep. Yeah, you all are staying status quo, Christine. You're going to stay as you are. Okay. Council comments. Tony?
Well, I'd like to comment a little bit on the heritage real quick. One of the benefits of living here all your life, knowing some of the older people, growing up around some of the older people of this community, and just listening to some of the stories that did go on. I had the benefits of talking to and knowing some of the older people that used to go on Friday and Saturday nights to the old Keystone Inn for dinner and dances and stuff like that. And knowing the heritage of in the Lawrences. Fortunately, I got to know a couple of the Lawrences. But to say that, we all were at the community church yesterday, 100 years. in this community, a vision people had to have a church in this community. And I just like to echo David's comments. I did have the honor to go to Amy's service this morning. And I've worked in the funeral business. I've been to a lot of funerals. And never have I ever been to a funeral that touched me as much as this one, even as family members. For them to use her videos and her singing and her playing her music, what she loved, I just hope and pray that God will give them peace, and we know where she's at. And she was, I got to meet her a few times at the hot dog place out at the airport. She was definitely a sweet young lady. So that's all I have.
Steve?
I'd like to commend the council as a whole for working through two issues tonight that had a possibility of being very, very disruptive, but I think in both we're on the right track, in my view, and I like the collegial way we handled it and the way we could have give and take with our city attorney and city manager. I just think this is the way to get things done. And Madam Mayor, I commend you for running the show tonight.
Thank you.
I have nothing.
Nothing? Okay. This past month has been really busy with so many things going on with the different workshops and whatnot. But I did want to let you know, as Tony mentioned, Florida League of Cities, one of the arms of that group, and part of that is for us to all kind of come together and learn what other cities are doing for their community, for their citizens, bringing ideas, fresh ideas to us to be a little more innovative for our voting teams here. So one of the arms is called the Florida League of Mayors organization. I was elected to District 4, on District 4's Board of Directors, representative for that area of the state. That area will represent 5 counties: St. John's, Duval, Nassau, Putnam, and Clay. I will be reaching out to each one of those mayors directly, just to, because I now am a representing vote for the board for the state for that particular district on any kind of issues that are coming on. But I think this is an effort to reach outside just the city, but to learn also around us what other folks are doing. And I do try to align myself with towns that are either about our size or a little bigger, so it is reality that, they may be doing things a little more creatively than we are sometimes with things. And also, what do their citizens really enjoy or don't like, right? So that's one thing I was involved in. Community projects, I mentioned to you I want to be a mayor. I thought that was a really cool idea, and they have been doing it since 2014, I understand. And I'll be able to get some of the essays that the kids who won got, what their copy of theirs is, so I can share it with the principals. But additionally, I found out about two grants or awards for our business owners or people, citizens in the city that have an option to apply for. One of them is City Catalyst Award, and the other is Innovation Award. So for under the City of Keystone Heights, I'm going to share this detailed information so that those folks could apply potentially for next year. Starting in October, I'm going to be meeting the citizens directly and doing a thing called Minutes with Your Mayor, where I can be in the public and meet with our citizens face to face. And we'll be doing that at the Pavilion. I have not set the specific dates, but I'll be doing it once a month. So that's what I have. And I think next is our Sheriff's Office update.
Chief Clark is not here this evening.
I saw, yeah, okay, great.
He has something come up and he asked me to come sit in for him.
Okay.
So the reports he had, I don't have.
Thank you, though, for being here. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Lynn?
Okay. So first, Mr. Cole sends his gratitude for the support during the passing of his dad. He wanted to make sure that I expressed that to council this evening. Second of all, we've been working with FDOT and the FDOT's engineers for the study that happened on State Road 21 and 100. We're working now with turn radius for semi-trucks and what that looks like from all 4 corners of State Road 100 State Road 100 Highway 100 and State Road 21. So as that comes to a conclusion, then I'll be able to share that with council. What they've found so far is that the turn is not safe for semis turning left going north onto State Road 100. I'm sorry, State Road 21. We've been working with DRMP both on our Smart Cities plan that will be closed the end of this calendar year. They're very excited. They've shared with you the digital twin, or what they have thus far for the digital twin. They now have access to all of our drainage maps that we have, and so they'll be implementing that into our digital twin. Cargo Way is also on that, as well as numerous other concerns that we have within our neighborhood. The drainage by the retention pond, as well as next to the high school, and then down Garden Street. Our parks plan is ongoing, as coming out of our last workshop, moving some things around and being able to compile a sports complex over there behind Hitchcock's at Sunrise Park, and so that's being tweaked a little bit, and I look forward to being able to present that to you next month on behalf of DRMP, if that's the will of council to move forward. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Commando? Okay. I adjourn our meeting, 7:35. Thanks, everyone, for being here tonight, and be careful going home.